Hello, NASA Hunch teachers and students. My name is Miss Brittany Koger, and I'm going to walk you through the weight and measurement for our basic art supplies for our lunar art project. You should have already watched the introduction and know why it is so important for this project. We have a very big need for art in space. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's not important, but we want our astronauts to feel normal. We want them to feel relaxed, and a lot of people relax by coloring or painting or sculpting or gardening, these things that are not going to be available to our astronauts on the moon. So we want to bring some color, bring some happiness into their life, and we want to allow them to make some art on the moon. But we have a problem with that. It cost $1.2 million per pound of material that goes to the moon. And we're looking at having a lunar base, and they're going to be stationed on the moon. So we can't be sending up art supplies for them to use. So they're going to have to be very creative, and we're going to try to help them with that. So these next couple of projects are just ideas that we're bouncing around for our astronauts of things that they could do in space to create different arts and do little art projects with your classes. But this is the weight and measurement station, and weight and measurement is so important. And it's nice to know how much this stuff weighs, because that was my first question with my students. Was one of my students was like, why can't we just send crayons up there with them? Like, crayons don't weigh that much. But how much do they actually weigh? I mean, we're going to do a little math. We're going to do some science and investigating. So you're going to need a couple of things for this station. Weight and measurement is very important when you're an engineer and you're building things and making things, because you have limitations. Like, we have $1.2 million per pound of material, so we don't want to send a lot of material up to space. So we want to kind of use what is there. So we're going to look at some different art supplies today, and we're going to put them on some scales. We're going to weigh and measure them and see how much space they would take up as they go up into space. So you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a basic ruler or measuring tool of some kind. I have seamstress tapes. I have measuring tapes. But my favorite is the trusty old ruler, because a lot of this stuff is not going to be that big. There are a couple of things that are going to be bigger, like the packs of paper. That's also something we got to think of. Can we send packs of paper? How much is paper going to cost, and how much weight is that going to be to just send paper up there for them to use? So we're going to look at several different art supplies today. You can grab all kinds of different things from around your room, and I'm going to show you what I grabbed and did with my students. So like I said, you're going to need a ruler or a measuring tape. You're going to need scales of some kind. Now, this is my lovely digital scale. This was like $12 on Amazon. It was super cheap, and it goes down to grams, and it's really good to get them to see a smaller amount. I do have the push scale as well, and then my students do know how to use that. We talked about how to break down and read a ruler, how there's little pieces, fractions, pieces of a whole. There's 16 pieces on a regular ruler. There's 8 pieces on my seamstress tape. Well, there's 16 ounces in 1 pound, and we did a little math lesson, and fractions, equivalent fractions, all of that. Go into as many math standards as you can. Take your time, do some fractions, but get these kids measuring. That is something that I've talked to a lot of engineering and shop teachers that tell me these kids have gotten away from measuring. So we want to make sure that they are measuring and using a ruler correctly. And we break our inch into 4 pieces, and we do not say fourths. We say quarters. We say 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and then a whole. So make sure you're reading these correctly and you're doing that correctly. All right. And you can even go into conversions. If you're in a different country, use inches into millimeters, or grams into ounces. You know, use what you can, and do conversions, do weight and measurement conversions. So like I said, you're going to need some measuring tools, and then you're going to need just some basic old art supplies. So I grabbed a pack of crayons, some colored pencils, some regular old pencils, some paint brushes here. I had a little watercolor paint. And then I took these out individually, and I want to know how much one crayon weighs, one marker, one colored pencil, one Sharpie, one paintbrush. Glue, how much does glue weigh? How much does sending paper, pack of paper, pack of construction paper. Construction paper is a little bit lighter than the notebook paper because there's not as many pieces in there. How much does tape cost? Look at the tape. I had several different tape examples. So I just kind of set my students free with all of this stuff, and I had them do this themselves and just go through and weigh and measure different things, okay? So we're going to look at our something very light. We're going to do the crayons, and we're going to do the paint set I'm going to do that with you guys, and I might do this pack of paper. We might do the paper as well. We will see the biggest one. And tape. See how much tape costs. See how much it weighs. All right. So, like I said, and you can do these individual. You can pull out paintbrushes and all of that, and weigh and measure them. Just get them weighing and measuring. That's all we want to do. Is we want them weighing and measuring. All right. So, looking at this pack of paper, this is a pack of construction paper. It is a bigger pack, so it's going to be bigger than 1 foot. So, no, it is exactly 12 inches. All right. So, our length of this pack of paper is 12 inches. Now, how wide is each piece of paper? 9 inches. So we've got 12 by 9 so far. And then how thick is this paper? How big is this pack? All right, it is 1/2 of an inch. Now we're going to take this pack of paper and we are going to put it on our scale and see how much this weighs. And I'm going to do ounces here. I'm going to see how much this paper weighs. All right, let me put it that way so I can see. All right, this is 10 and a half ounces. So that's pretty, it's not a lot, but thinking about how many packs you would have to send up, how many packs of paper would you have to send up? 10 ounces, think about how many ounces are in a pound. There's 16. So is getting close to a pound. So to send that would be almost $1 million. It's crazy. All right, so then do your paint set. Just measure how long is it? All right, that's 9 inches. How wide is it? It's 2 inches, and it's a little, it's a 1/4 of an inch in thickness, and how tall it stands up. All right, now we're gonna put it on our scale, and this is only 1 ounce, and this is very lightweight. This is 1.30. Very lightweight, and it's got a paintbrush in there. So, could we send paint? Probably, but we got to think about how much that would weigh. All right, let's get our trusty tape measure here, our piece of tape. This tape is 4 inches in its length, 2.5 inches in its width, and its height, it stands up about 1 inch. And let's see how much tape weighs. 1.5 ounce. 1.5 ounces for just a roll of tape. And I know they have tape up there on the moon. I know that they have a special tape dispenser that has been made by NASA HUNCH students that is actually on the International Space Station that they have been actually using for the past couple of years in NASA. Guys, y'all don't understand. There are so many things in space that our NASA HUNCH students have made and are in space that help our astronauts. So all of this research, finding out how much all this weighs, helps us know why we cannot send this stuff up into space. It costs a lot of money. I mean, just the pack of paper, 2 packs of paper. I'm going to add this pack and this pack together. Let's see how much it weighs. That's 27 ounces. That's over $1 million just in paper. So we couldn't send all of that. So we want to just make sure how much these things weigh and why we cannot have these things. Some things are very lightweight that we might be able to send up, like dehydrated paint chips and pieces that they could paint with. So that might be cool. But in a later station, we're going to look at how we can make paint out of resources that they would have, like their food. So we're going to be looking into things like that. Weigh and measure as many different art supplies as you can. Take the markers out individually and weigh each one, pencils, all of that. And just get your students weighing and measuring. That's the biggest part of this, is we want them to know how to weigh and how to measure things. And we're going to take this data later whenever we're doing and looking at our lunar art project and thinking about what we can do in space. We're going to take all of this into consideration and how much everything weighs. All right. So I hope you guys had fun with this. Weigh and as measure many things as you can. Enter in all that. And I will see you at a later station, guys. Have fun. Bye.